Hello, welcome. My name is Will Cullen. I'm a Guild-certified Feldenkrais practitioner with the Feldenkrais Guild of North America, and I'm here once again to talk about movement and some of the philosophies and thinking that I've been discovering in my time with awareness through movement. This video is potentially a little bit strong for some viewers. Viewer discretion is advised. But today I want to talk a little bit about what makes us human. And better brains than I, or certainly older brains than I, have talked about this before and have tried to talk about the purpose and the meaning of our existence and how we fit into the greater context of the world and the society and the culture that surrounds us. And I thought that I would start by talking about a video that I saw about 4 years back when I was studying in Toronto and about how that influenced and affected me. So let's have a look at this.
What does this meat have in mind?
First, it wants to talk to us. Then, I imagine it wants to explore the universe, contact other sentiences.
So then they can actually talk.
Oh, yes. Except they do it with meat.
Well, no, but just before you said that they use radio.
But what do you think is on the radio? Meat sounds. You know how when slap or flap meat makes a noise? They talk by flapping their meat at each other. They can even sing by squirting air through their meat.
Oh my God. This is altogether too much.
I advise that we erase the records and forget the whole thing.
But like you said, who wants to meat? Now, the ones that we brought onto the best...
So this I came across when I was in Toronto near the University of Ryerson, and a friend of mine was a film major and he showed this video to me. And at the time, I think he was meaning to show it to me as a bit of a grotesquity, really. Look at this interesting way of portraying the human form. Doesn't that make you think about us in a different way? And since then, I've been, of course, certified as a Feldenkrais practitioner, and I've been thinking about different people that have been saying this in different ways. And another that I can think of is Brent Weeks, who is a popular author who wrote 3 or 4 books now of a stealth magic miniseries and another 3 books of a series, Grand High Fantasy in a Magical Universe. And one of his assassin characters says that in life every man is unique, and in death every man is meat. This sort of came back to me echoing that part of they're made of meat. This idea that when we're alive, when we're human, when we're more than animals, when we have that divine spark that those in faithful religions speak of, we have something more to us. There's an us that extends beyond that which we're made of. The sum becomes greater than its parts. And Moshe speaks a little bit about the degeneration of choices in his functions in breathing, in awareness through movement. Page 103, he says, "It is rare to find a truly symmetrical spine. In most cases, the plane of the shoulders and chest is twisted relative to the plane of the pelvis, and as a result, all movements are performed more easily on one side of the body than on the other. In the early years, when a child tends to make random movements of greater variety, this does not matter at all. In maturity, however, persons tend to repeat a limited number of movements, sometimes for hours on end, to the neglect of other movements. The body then tends to accustom itself to this restricted number of movements. The skeletal structure adjusts to them, changes result, and posture becomes crooked." And he's speaking about the selection through lack of awareness of a limited number of movement options, which then lock us into a particular way of being. One of my trainers, Giselle St. Hilaire, referred to it as being like driving an oxen cart that is stuck in a wheel rut along the road. In order to find a new option, you either need to raise the ground, i.e., provide support to the part such that it doesn't feel like it's stuck in that pattern anymore, or you need to lower the ground around it. Engage curiosity again, find a different path. And I think that, in a sense, by losing different parts of our organization and losing different parts of how we could function, we're becoming more disjointed and less human, less whole. I would say, for example, that what makes a fully integrated performer or a fully integrated athlete beautiful or stunning to look at is the integration of all of the parts of themselves working towards their intention. And I would say that what many of us find difficult to cope with as we age or as we watch our loved ones age is watching the movement decrease, the options decrease. Watching a person go from being standing to being wheelchair bound is, in a sense, watching a part of them or a part of their options become closer to meat than it is to human. And when I got thinking about this, and I got thinking about what makes me more than meat, what makes my family and those close to me more than meat, I started thinking about the ways in which various philosophers and psychologists have defined meaning. Sigmund Freud, for example, famously said that a psychologically healthy individual should be able to love and to work. So this, along with some thinking about trauma recovery that I've been doing lately, which talks a lot about modern trauma therapy, talks a lot about points of reconnection, where you realize that you have worth to others and that others have worth to you. This speaks to me in the same way as Freud saying that a psychologically healthy person should be able to love, i.e., that through integration with another person or another group of people, that we can find more than meat. We can find ourselves as being truly human, as being organized towards a function, towards a purpose. I remember at the end of my Feldenkrais training, one of my colleagues asked me what I was using to define my worth, and I was saying things like that I was an educator, that I was an artist. And their response was, it's interesting that you're still defining your worth by your career or by your skill sets. And my thinking at that time was that my self-worth was perhaps defined to what I could do for others. In discussion with a friend, he told me that from his perspective, this was a very male thing, that males in our society are taught to provide for, are taught to do what they can to create stability and success in their loved ones. And so, of course, I would define myself by what I can do for others. But more and more, I'm thinking that it's that a connection to others, either in the Freudian love sense or in this trauma recovery integration sense, is about feeling more human, by feeling more connected. There are other ways of doing it, though. The other half of Freud's quote was work. So I can feel more than human by being an educator or by being an artist. Sorry, more than meat. I can feel human by feeling like an artist or an educator. I can also feel more human by contributing meaningfully to society in a way that society gives me the feedback that I feel valued. So if I were a police officer or a teacher or a lawyer and I had gained some modicum of respect and it was a well-respected profession, then you get this sense of integrity, that you are congruent with societal expectations. And this is where I start to get a little bit lost, but also very curious, because one of Freud's assertions and I think one of the reasons people started to move away from him was his concept that pleasure was about overcoming some kind of repressed desire and fulfilling something that is unfulfilled. And I think that one of these grinding points that he was talking about, reading him, it sounds like he feels that the basis of human life is misery, not pleasure, and that pleasure is incongruent with the truth of human life. And one of those grinding points appeared to be the grinding point of societal expectations. And one of his recommendations for pleasure was to get self-isolation, to remove yourself from that which is causing that grinding point. But societal expectation is both attempting to serve society by creating people that can function within it, but is also, probably at least from its conceptions, trying to serve the individuals as well. Because by feeling a part of something, we feel more than meat. I think that this is what oftentimes religious people are getting at when they ask me, without God, what is there? Or how can you have an integral whole without God? And I think it was Goeshe that said, if one has art and one has science, then one has religion too. If one has not art nor science, then religion becomes very important. And religion in the sense of a culture that gives you a greater meaning. And so where does that leave me? Because I don't want necessarily to define myself by my job, by my career, nor do I necessarily want to define myself by what I can do for others. And I don't want to feel dependent upon others, to feel like I have a sense of self, to feel like I have a sense of purpose, to feel like I'm more than meat. And this is where I return to Moshe's idea of a truly complete self-image, a more equitable self-image that works towards the concept of an ideal self-image, the concept of knowing the parts of you so well that you can know what you're doing in every moment, such that you can choose what it is that you want to do. I suppose my big assertion here is that awareness through movement, or really awareness in general, is an act that makes us more than meat, is an act that makes us more human, is an act that restores our integrity and restores our potential. And those things make us the meat that could create the pyramids, the meat that could create the wireless transceiver networks, the meat that could create the internet. The fact that we, as these creatures, could do that is astounding. And it's a testament to the sum being greater than the parts. Thank you. I think that's where I'm going to leave it for the moment. If you enjoyed this, please like me on Facebook and Instagram and subscribe to my YouTube.